Hi friends, welcome to SPJK Technosoft, your one-stop training and education platform. In this video you are going to learn about computational thinking and problem solving. What are 5 C's of learning, like communication, critical thinking, collaboration, creativity, computation thinking. What is computation thinking? 4 cornerstones of computational thinking: decomposition, pattern recognition, abstraction, design algorithm. You will receive more updated videos on CBSE Computer Science syllabus videos, so do subscribe our channel and press the bell icon to get the new videos at your fingertips. Happy learning, viewers.
Hello everyone, welcome to our channel. Today we are going to learn about computational thinking and programming. You may wonder what are these words: computation, thinking, programming, and why are all these related like this. So when we have any problem, any sort of problem in any situation, whether it's a real world or any computer problem or anything, well, if it is an easy problem, we will get the solution very quickly. But what if it is a complex problem? A complex problem is one that at first glance we don't know how to solve easily. So this computational thinking actually helps to solve the complex problems easily, and we will see how it will be done actually. The C's of learning. In the 21st century learning, we have to know about the C's. What are these C's? The 4 C's are communication. Being able to communicate is vital in these days, right? So when we communicate, we actually convey some information, and it actually helps in stimulating the thinking too. So when we communicate, we will share the information, knowledge, and we will know more about anything or any relatable concept also. And next one is critical thinking. Critical thinking means we actually analyze the facts, and based on these facts we try to make judgments. So whether whatever situation it is, we try to judge it by analyzing the facts. Next one is collaboration, another C. Collaboration means when 2 or more people learn or attempt to learn something together. So when a single person is learning, he or she will attain some information, some knowledge. But what if 2 or more people combine and try to learn something? They will attain more information and more knowledge about anything, right? And the next one is creativity. Creativity means when the students are able to use imagination, they actually create new and meaningful form of ideas. So due to these ideas, we can try to learn more about anything. These are the 4 C's, but we can include a 5th C, that is nothing but computational thinking, which actually entails the capability to resolve problems algorithmically and logically. So we can solve the problems by using algorithms and logics also. That is the computational thinking. So these 5 C's are very play a vital role in our learning purpose. So what is computational thinking? When we're actually trying to solve a problem through a computer, then when this computational thinking occurs, computers can be used to help us solve the problems. However, before a problem can be tackled, the problem itself and the ways in which it could be solved need to be understood, right? So when we are trying to solve a problem, we have to actually understand how we can solve the problem. Are there any ways to solve that particular problem? Computational thinking allows us to take a complex problem, understand what the problem is, and develop the possible solutions. Then when we are trying to develop these solutions, then we can present these solutions in a way that a computer or a human or both can understand. So this is the process of approaching a problem in a systematic manner and creating and expressing a solution such that it can be carried out by a computer. So what is computational thinking? Computational thinking gives us a way of understanding the problems. It allows us to take the complex problems, and we will develop possible solutions for those complex problems, and we can present those solutions to the computer or human, as the solutions can be understood by the computer or other also, and any human also. So this is the computational thinking. When we are trying to solve a complex problem, these computational thinking techniques helps with those tasks. Okay, next, thinking computationally. So we may wonder how to think computationally, and also we'll think like thinking computationally means it is not programming. Please note this, thinking computationally is not actually programming. We have already seen the topic is computational thinking and programming, right? So those are both different. Thinking computationally means it's not programming. It is not even thinking like a computer, as computers do not and cannot think. So thinking computation is not programming. Programming tells a computer what to do and how to do it. Computational thinking enables you to work out exactly what to tell the computer to do. So programming tells the computer what to do. So it means it gives set of instructions to the computer to do and how to do it, right? The programming means it comprises set of instructions. Now what computational thinking enables you to work out exactly what to tell the computer to do. So what you will see, I mean, computational thinking means it will actually helps you to work out what to tell to the computer to do for you, right? Next, there are 4 key techniques or the cornerstones to computational thinking. Each cornerstone is as important as the others. Correctly applying all the 4 techniques will help when programming a computer. So there are 4 cornerstones, I mean like 4 techniques for computational thinking. It is actually built on 4 pillars. The first one is decomposition, second one is abstraction, and third one is pattern recognition, and fourth one is algorithms. So we will learn about this in detail in the further slides. Okay, so we may wonder why are these cornerstones are actually important. These are very important as they are like excuse me, they are like legs on a table. If one leg is missing, the table will probably collapse. Correctly applying all 4 techniques will help for programming a computer. See the 4 cornerstones. Decomposition. Decomposition means breaking down the problem into smaller parts. So that means when we are having a complex problem, then this problem will be broken into more manageable sub problems, and then we will try to solve the problem. And pattern recognition identifies the similarities, differences, and patterns within the problem. So what is pattern recognition? Looking for similarities among the problems. What like whether we have any similarities between the problems or whether do we have already previously solved some problems, some same sort of problems, thus there is any similarities between the previous problem and this new problem. So like that we are trying to identify some similarities. Okay, next, abstraction. Abstraction means identify general principles and filter out unnecessary information. So this actually means abstraction in the programming terms means it's actually data hiding. So here we have to focus on the important information and we have to ignore the irrelevant details. Irrelevant details means unnecessary information should be hidden. We shouldn't bother about that, and we have to focus on what actual information we need, and we will try to sort out the problem, right? Next, after these 3 techniques, we are having the algorithms. So algorithms means identify and organize the steps needed to solve the problem. Algorithm means we have to develop a step-by-step solution to the problem or the rules to follow to solve the problem. So by designing the algorithm, we will actually solve the problem very easily. So these 4 are very important techniques in computational thinking. So we will try to look out for an play example. So you all know about the games. You all play the games. So when playing a game, how these techniques are applied, we'll see. Depending on the game, in order to complete a level, so you're trying to complete some level in a game, so you would need to know what items you need to collect, how you can collect them, and how long you have in which to collect them. So how much time you want, right? How much time you have to collect them, or some like collecting means you may wonder what is collecting. So you have some games like collecting some coins, some treasures, something sort of like that. Okay, now next, where the exit is and the best route to reach it in the quickest time possible, right? So where is the exit, and how we should actually go sooner, how should actually exit by the game, I mean in the quickest time, so that we can win the game, right? What kinds of enemies are there, so who are the enemies behind us or among us, and then what are the weak points. So some these sort of things we will actually consider when playing a game, right? So from these details you can work out a strategy for completing the level in the most efficient way. If you won't wonder, or if you won't think these things, you can't complete that level. All right, next, if you were to create your own computer game, right? So when you're playing a game means you will think those steps, right? So when you're trying to create your game, what about your game? You're actually playing, someone created that game, right? So when you're trying to create your own computer game, those will be the exactly the type of questions you would need to think about and answer before you're able to program your game. So in this slide we have seen, when you're playing a game, these steps all you will consider. But what about when you're programming a game, when you are yourself designing a game? When you're designing a game, you should need to consider these things, and then you have to you should consider those questions, and you should program your game. Okay, so we will see how the computational thinking is used here. So computational thinking has been used to solve a complex problem, right? We all know. Now each complex problem was broken down into several small decisions and steps. So I have already discussed there are 4 key cornerstones for the computational thinking, right? So those 4 key corner techniques are whether they are used in playing a game or not, we will see now. See here, first we have how to complete the level, where to go. So we are breaking the problem into subparts, right? So that is called as decomposition. Next, only the relevant details were focused on, like a location of exit. So we want to know when to exist, how much time to exist. So we will focus only the relevant details, what the details we want to know, not the other details. Okay, so that is the abstraction part. Knowledge of previous similar problems was used. That means if any sort of games you have played before, so you will try to use some strategies in this game also. So here we have used the pattern recognition to work out a step-by-step plan of action. Means, so when you're playing a game, you'll think that we should go there, we should do this, we should do that, we should collect that, we should exit by this time, we should focus on this, right? We are preparing something step-by-step plan of action. So these are actually algorithms, right? So this is about the computational thinking. So how we are in real life, how this is in practice. So we are going to into the concept of decomposition. This is the first cornerstone of the computational thinking. So what is decomposition? So before computers can solve a problem, the problem and the ways in which it can be resolved must be understood. We decompose a problem to make it easier to solve. So when computers can solve a problem, the problem and the ways in which it can be resolved, means how we are trying to resolve, must be understood. So how this will be done? By decomposing. That means we are breaking the problem into subparts to make it easier to solve. So what is decomposition? This is the process of taking a complex problem and breaking it into more manageable subproblems. Each part can then be examined in detail. I hope you understood this definition. Although solving the complex problem as a whole may seem very difficult, the solution to each subproblem may be much simpler by putting together the solutions to the subproblems, right? So when we look at it as a problem, it's a simple problem, we can solve it very easily. What if it is a very complex, difficult problem? Then we will see when we are trying to look it as a whole, complete problem. Wow, what is this? This is very difficult to solve. But when you're trying to break down into sub problems and you're trying to solve each problem individually and then combining that, then it will be more easier to solve, right? We can then arrive at a solution to the original complex problem. After solving these sub problems, we will try to get a complete solution to our original complex problem, right? So that is why decomposition is very useful for solving a problem. What is the need for decomposing a problem? You may wonder, why should we actually decompose a problem, right? So actually decomposition is a useful problem solving strategy. It is called as problem solving strategy because we are trying to solve a problem by breaking it. Okay, this will same type of words will be repeated here, don't get confused. Don't think like what because it's all interrelated with these words only. Okay, it can help you write a complex computer program, plan a holiday, or make a model plane. So decomposition means it actually helps us for we writing a complex program, right? Something like planning a holiday in real world, or something to make a model plane. Okay, we decompose in smaller parts because they are easier to understand and implement. It is normal when we are asked to do a new or more complex task, then we start to think about it in detail to decompose the task. If it is a difficult task, we will try to think about it more, how to solve this, so we will particularly focus on every detail of that difficult task, right? So programmers also do exactly the same thing. When they are writing a program, they often break the code into small chunks. So this is our main concept. Why decomposition is used in real situations, and moreover programmers, that means programming, while we doing programming, we actually break the code into small chunks, means small parts, and then we write the code for different modules. Okay, so this will make easier for us. Decomposition actually saves a lot of time. The code for a complex program could run to many lines of code. If a mistake was made, it would take a very long time to find. So when it is a complex program, if it is a difficult program to handle and to write, so when we are trying to and when it is a complex program, there will be many lines of code. Lines of code means you may wonder how many is there, may be thousands or many lines of code. So we can't, the LOC may be vary depending upon the program. So for a complex program, there will be many lines of codes. So when you're writing a long program, and what actually something there was a mistake, so you can't find, right? If it is a whole problem and you're looking at it, where is my mistake, you can't find. So when it is divided into small parts of code, okay, then you can easily find where is your mistake, and you will try to solve that particular part, only that particular small chunk of code, and then you will get the solution easily and also within a less time. If you won't decompose a problem, you will actually you will waste more time in finding where is my mistake, where I have done the mistake, and trying to solve that mistake and running the program again. So it will take more time, right? So that's why decomposition saves a lot of time, and decomposition plays a very vital role in programming also. So we'll look in for a small example. This is in real situation. Okay, when we are writing an assignment, so you probably get your assignments, right? So some writing an assignment means like we wonder writing an essay. You probably already do this in solving everyday problems like writing a paper. Okay, so writing a paper means writing some essay or something, letter or something in paper by breaking it into sections that can be individually written and put together. When given the assignment of writing a paper, rather than just starting down at your keyboard and writing from start to finish, you probably start by developing an outline of the essay, right? If you're writing an essay, if you're writing an essay, so you're thinking that what you'll do, we'll write completely from A to Z, from starting of the paper to end of the paper. No, you'll think that what we should actually start, what will be the outline, how we should start, how we should end, what is the title, how we should include the paragraphs, and what meta should be included. So we'll think in various ways. So that one is an introduction, a body containing sections developing each of several main ideas, and a conclusion, right? First an introduction, then a body containing sections, and then some conclusion. finish. You then write each section in turn. So this is the outline. First one is the outline of essay. You'll think you have to include this. Then you write each section in turn, starting with the main ideas and ending with introduction and conclusion to create the paper. So you write the some varies by person and person, how they are writing a paper, but what we are doing, how many people write differently a paper, right? They will divide differently and they will write paper. But what they are doing, actually the common scenario here is they are decomposing the task into sub parts and they are trying to solve that, right? So here also decomposition is there. Next, this is also some sort of a problem in real situation, solving a crime. So imagine that a crime has been committed. Solving a crime can be very complex problem as there are many things to consider, right? So when a crime is committed somewhere and we are the police officer, he want to know how this committed, there will be actually they should consider many things, right? It's not actually a small problem committing a crime means. So we will see some questions they actually arose. What crime was committed, when the crime was committed, where the crime was committed, what evidence is there, if there are any witnesses, if there have been recently in the such type of crimes. So right, so he have to look. I have actually given some questions. What he wonders, how he thinks, but there will be many sort of certain sort of questions he actually thinks, right? So these are just examples. So the complex problem of the committed crime has now been broken down into simpler problems that can be examined individually in detail. So here also he was trying to sort out the problem by breaking it and then examining individually, right? One problem again individually he should try to solve, and then he should merge, and finally he will get a solution to the actual problem. So for committing a crime, solving a crime, sorry. Next, so those are the real life situations. We will consider now the programming part. So this is actually our main part, right? The programmers decompose their code into small parts. I have already said that we have to decompose the code into small chunks. If they are programming a computer game, so when think that you're designing a computer game, then they might write the code to control a character's movement and then write the code to control sound effects. See that the figure movement, move 5 steps, turn 15 degrees right, turn 15 degrees left. So these are the code to control the movements of the person or a character playing there. So we will write the code for particularly for movement, and next for sound effects, play sound, play pop sound, increase beat. So these are the we will write the code for the sound effects. So for movement and for the sound effects individually we'll write the code and we will design the game. Okay, but we can't include both and get confused and waste lot of time. So we will divide the game into small parts and we will write individually the code. So let's look into the steps to make a computer game. Okay, first come up with an idea. We should have an idea, right? I think we can embed that seeds of learning here. Come up with an idea means creativity. We should include our creativity in designing the game. How we should design, how many characters should be included, what actually the concept, how we should make it effective, like that. And then next, create graphics, right? So the graphics are most wanted part here, because how much effective it is, how that many people or children or more users will be attracted for that. And next one is program each sprite one at a time. Sprite means like a one part we have to programming each value, like I have discussed before about the movement, sound effects, right? So we have to program each part one at a time. It will be easier for us. That is the decomposing our problem. Next, after designing the game, after completing the graphics part, after doing everything, we have to actually test the game, right? So we have to test the game whether it is correct or any errors or bugs are there, then we have to do. And next, debug and make improvements. I mean, if any bugs are there, bugs to fix, then we will actually contact the we should test the game perfectly, and we should release the game. So this is there will be more steps involved later, but first we have to decompose a problem like this. There is a basic steps, then we have to design our computer game. So programming a computer game is very difficult, but if we try to solve that using decomposition and computational thinking, so we will it will make us easier, right? So solving a computer game by using decomposition will actually work. And next, so we will try to learn something. So till now you have learned something, right? So you may have understood that concept of decomposition. So just work out on how would you decompose the task of creating an app. So try to write some steps in your book or notes, and you think actually we have understood the concept of decomposition, and the solution is also there, don't worry, I have kept. So for app means nowadays apps are used varily, right? Everybody is using to decompose it. So this task we should actually know to the answer to a smaller problems. So actually the bigger problem is here creating an app. Problem means don't think like that. It's a complex situation for us to create a app by developing it, by programming it, right? So what are the basic questions we actually wonder? What kind of app we want to create, what your app will look like, who the target audience, like who will play, whether the children or adults or also all. You should design the program app like that by considering the audience also, and what your graphics, how the effects, animations, design will be look like, what audio we will get. Audio also plays important role, right? Which type of audio you should include, and what software you're trying to use to build your app. So in designing an app you will have many softwares, and you should use one software which is easier for you. And next, how the user will navigate your app and how you will test your app. So these are the main simple basic steps to design an app. We should learn about this. Okay, this list has broken down the complex problem of creating an app into much simpler problems that can now be worked out. Okay, now we will just have two questions. Just try to find out which is which of these in three options, which of these is an example of decomposition. First one is watching a mechanic repair a bicycle. Second one is looking at different bicycles for similarities between them, finding out how a bicycle works by looking in detail at the different parts that make up the bicycle. So these are these multiple choices, something sort of like that. So what is decomposition means? I actually said that breaking into small parts and learning individually, right? So first, so what is the solution? Yeah, third one. Why third one? Finding out how a bicycle works by looking in detail at the different parts that make up the bicycle, right? So different parts means how actually this one is made and how it works. We'll try to learn in detail by looking at it and by knowing about it. That's why it's called a decomposition. First and second are not a part of decomposition, because we are not trying to break it to small parts and try to examine something there. So second one, find this. In this, which of these is an example of decomposition? So breaking the problem of organizing a cake sale into smaller parts, such as who will bake the cakes and when to hold the cake sale. Taking the problem of baking a cake and thinking about how we can make it the best cake possible. Looking at what different kinds of cake can be made. So I think you've already got a solution because they're already there. Breaking the problem of organizing a cake sale into smaller parts, such as who will bake the cake and when to hold the cake cell. Also so that we are trying to solve it by breaking it to small parts, and we are organizing a cake sale. Next, looking at what difference of cake can be made. Those are all not examples of decomposition. Okay, so I hope you understood the concept of computational thinking and programming, and the first cornerstone is decomposition. Hope you understood. So next we will try to learn about problem solving. Thank you.
Thank you viewers for your time. Don't forget to subscribe our channel and press the bell icon to get latest trending technology and academic related videos. For any further queries, please reach us at info@spjktechnosoft.com. Please like, share and subscribe our channel. Thank you and goodbye.